Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Humans in AI podcast. This is the podcast where we dive into the real-life stories of the top leaders and entrepreneurs within the artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, and data center space. These people truly are at the top of their game. We're going to have honest and authentic conversations with all our guests. We're going to chat about their career journeys, the highs and the lows, and even the lessons they've learned from the mistakes they've made and the victories they've celebrated along the way. It's all about sharing their experience and their knowledge and how they see the future of the space they're in. So if you're looking for practical advice from people who've walked the same path as you, or just a little inspiration, you're in the right place. We're going to be dropping new episodes every Thursday, so make sure you stay tuned and don't miss out. Good morning. Thanks for coming in today. How are you doing?
Hey Nick, I'm good. What about yourself?
Yeah, very good indeed. Very good indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate you coming on the show. For the benefit of people, obviously, that haven't met you before or don't know you, do you mind just doing a quick introduction to yourself, who you are, current role, where you work? Very much a helicopter view, if that's all right.
Yeah, so my name is Doreen, like you mentioned. I currently work at Scaleway. I'm Chief Sales Officer. So really what it means is I handle all the teams across the sales cycle and handle the go-to-market strategies.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming on, as I said before. So, firstly, just want to sort of dive into a bit about your background. You're a lady that's travelled the world, from what I can see. So obviously you've got lots of experiences there, and seem to start your career in accounts receivable and payable, and then moved into inside sales as well. So obviously, I think it was Australia you did your masters in.
Yes, my master's was in Australia. So I studied in the Business School of Sydney. So it was a choice because I really wanted to have this specific master's. It was not only for the beach and the sun. It was really to have my majors in not only business, but as well psychology at work. And that was the kind of only place at the time that I found this combo. So that's why I chose this university.
And yeah, psychology at work definitely going to help in a career in sales for sure. So, what made you actually move into sales? It's it's an aggressive industry. It's fun. It's rewarding. But what sort of got you interested in doing it yourself?
It's a very good question. A lot of people just end up in sales at some point, but I always kind of knew I wanted to be with clients. I wanted to have a day that would be just surrounded by new people, kind of new technologies as well. And so like a lot of young individuals, I just look at what's out there. And I did a few internships to kind of find my way into sales. So I did many different things when I was an intern, and then I did the first one in sales, and I was like, this is so much fun. And then you have the atmosphere and the vibe on the floor, being able to go and see clients. And then of course the money, because it's good money when you're in sales and you're successful. We won't be lying here. So all this mix together was really appealing, and at the time we were not a lot of women in sales, and I was like, oh, that might be fun. Why that? And so I got myself engaged into different roles, pretty quickly changed into the sales cycle, which I think it's kind of a strength, but it was all, not planned, but a bit planned.
And obviously you moved, I think you went to New York for a little while, but you settled in London for a good few years, and started your career with, I think it was with Box in inside sales, didn't you? So what made you sort of go down the inside sales route?
So to go back into the root of that decision, I started at Bloomberg. And so at Bloomberg, we have to say that at the time, over 10 years ago, it was a monopolistic kind of business. Reuters was out there, but our clients, and they didn't have a choice in terms of platforms. And so when I wanted to go into a SaaS company, I kind of quickly saw that Bloomberg was not the normal word. And so when I spoke to my soon-to-be manager, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable getting into sales within your team without having done the inside sales job. So really doing the cold calling, the outbound strategy, the account mapping, like everything from the beginning of the sales cycle to then being an amazing AE. And so it was, so for many people kind of a step back, but for me it was not, because that was not a skill I had learned at Bloomberg. So I really needed to go back into that.
Absolutely. And inside sales itself is, I mean, it's not too dissimilar to recruitment. It's phone based, it's email marketing. Depending on the organization, it's very activity, KPI driven. And it's a tough job. And not everybody's cracked up for it either, are they? So you do see people go in and you do see people go out pretty quickly. I mean, for people that are moving into the inside sales or the SDR type role, what do you see as sort of the key skills and behaviours that make it success? Because obviously you've done that journey, and obviously you've come out the other side now as a CSO. What made you successful?
I think, and to be frankly honest, here for me, the inside sales job, ISR or BDR or SDR, whatever the name, it's still the hardest job, because you need to be so resilient and having this positive attitude for every step of the way, because you're going to receive more no's than yeses. So you have to be in that kind of mood to, hey, every day is a good day, let's go for it, and kind of being as well close to your team. And I think that's really important. For me, the best SDRs and inside sales, they're not only resilient, they're really good at teamwork, and they get the energy from each other and be like, hey, just got that call, that was tough, crack a joke and go back into it, into a good mood. Because if you are the kind of person that will be more, in a solo type of job, then you'll be like, okay, I keep the bad energy to myself, and it just builds up. So I think, one, resilient, of course, two, teamwork. And the last thing, the best ISRs I've seen is the one that are innovative. The one that will do stuff that no one does and will get the prospect interested. So whether it's like now, videos and like a voice recording, people are used to it, but sending their business cards with a little notes via post, or getting a very fun social media post that will get people interested, or even like tracking their prospects into events. It's not stalking, but those that will be a bit different. This kind of innovation to not follow the crowd but be the exception, that I think is very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, years and years ago, I used to see people going into just turning up to offices with donuts in London, just to try and sort of be a bit different. Don't see it quite so much anymore. I think that sort of time's passed. But, being creative, whether it be voice notes, whether it be, turning up at events or creating events, you do have to separate yourself from the crowd, don't you? And I think you're right, being resilient and remaining positive. I often find as well with people in that sort of role, it's they don't have to be necessarily the best salespeople. They need to be good communicators, and they need to have a bit of a process, and create consistency as well, don't they?
Yeah, 100%.
So
And what I
obviously,
think with this team is like, and sorry to cut you here, is that you are not selling the product, you are selling time, then for us to sell the product together. And it's really this, when you have this in mind, you're selling time to get the people interested. And like you were saying, with the right process and all, I think that what works best.
and obviously, so you did that role. You were successful. You then got your sort of first taste into management, I think, didn't you? You actually moved to workplace from Facebook. I guess that's Meta, is it now? Or
Yes.
so you moved there, and you obviously managed multiple teams, looking after different regions. What was, we often see successful salespeople move into management, and they don't always transfer into management successfully. How did you sort of navigate that gap and jump into your first sort of leadership role?
Yeah, so I had the chance to kind of try a few things at box.com where I was team lead and learning from my managers. So grasping this first full-time, let's say, manager role was for me just, a step. So I didn't feel lost. And I joined not only an amazing company such as Meta / Facebook at the time, but I knew the leadership in place was great. My direct manager and my VPs, they were really the kind of leaders that will coach you to be the best leader you can be. They will spend time with you, and that was throughout the pandemic as well. And so we were closer than ever, even though we were not together in the same office. We were all here for each other, giving tips and working as much as we could, because at the time we were setting a communication platform. So that was really needed for companies. So managing different region that was on different time zone, that was a challenge. Because I was before focused on EMEA, and here I had APAC, EMEA, and LATAM. So the clients needed time at any time of my day. So I had to kind of put myself into a rhythm to say Tuesdays and Thursdays will be more APAC, and then LATAM will be more Wednesday, and Friday and Monday will be crazy. But I try to kind of separate my week into different schedule time. A bit like when you are doing a job when you have different schedules for different days. So you do night shift and then morning shift. It was a bit this, but being available via workplace, so the communication tool at any time for the team.
I can imagine. I mean, not only is it the different time zones, but obviously, back then, it, we've had COVID, so we've got a lot more hybrid working now and what have you, and remote working. Were you used to working in that hybrid remote way, or was it actually being able to coach, manage, mentor people, through a screen? Was that a new skill set for you as well? Because not everybody can do that. I mean, some people need to be in the room, they need to be in the building to actually get the best out of their staff. How did you find getting the best out of people that were on the other side of the planet?
Yeah, it's not easy, and I think it's finding this link in between all the team members. So the team that I managed was around 50, and so it was really important to know them individually, to know their drivers, because of course a lot of salespeople, their driver will be money, but not only. Some will be recognition, some will be to be on top, some will be to challenge themselves into a better quarter than the quarter before, some will be just to survive, because that was a tough time. So really to know and talk to them, and being available, always had in my calendar those times that were free for impromptu meetings and just having those chit chats. And it's still the case that I kept a very good relationship from my past companies with some people I managed, because then you have this bond, and that helps. And I think because I motivate them, they motivated me back. And so, it's this transfer of energy that really helps. And it's not bullshit the way I say it. It's really true. When you give energy, people give this energy back to you. And so you're even more energized after.
I totally agree. I think it is reciprocal at the end of the day. So you bounce off other people, and if you've got a good team around you, it makes you a better leader as well, for sure. So obviously, working with Workplace and Facebook, you then moved on. You then moved into another inside sales manager role, which quickly turned into a VP role, and you moved back to Paris as well. So I mean, that must have been nice to go back home, surely, after having a few years away. What sort of triggered the move to move on from Facebook to the next, for the next role?
I think you said it a bit in your question. I wanted to move back to France. So that was as well a personal move, which I'm really happy about. If we talk of ROI, I have now a baby from that move. So really happy that I could, get this together. But on the professional side, I wanted as well to challenge myself into a more technical kind of industry. And so I didn't know that much from the data science industry. But at the time, big data was everything. We were talking a bit about AI and ML, and of course, that was a topic, but big data was the trend. And it just started to become bigger and bigger. And so I was like, I need to take the wave. And so joining Data IQ, I joined knowing that joining a startup, becoming a scale up, I would have challenge and opportunities. And so when I joined, I knew opportunities would be there. I didn't know that would be that quickly. But when my boss at the time left the company, I raised my hand. I went to our general manager and I was like, Gregory, I'm here. If you need to replace that person now, I will step up. And I build up a full plan very quickly, propose a few alternatives, and showcase what I did before at Workplace, at Box.com, at Bloomberg, and I made myself as the solution. And it's really something that I got a lot from Sherry Sonberg, who were the COO of Facebook at the time. And she wrote many, many books on women empowerment and how to manage your career. And she said, behave like a man, raise your hand, and make yourself the solution. And this is what I did. It was super challenging because I didn't know how to do that role. I stepped up in the role that I knew maybe 50%. So then I had to kind of, fake it until you make it and learn from so many people I knew around me. And I was bothering all the VPs that I knew. I was like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Can you come and shadow me? Can you, and getting all the feedback. So in a few months, I grew, I don't know, like I never grew before. But it was tough because you would get bashed from feedback to feedback. So really, when you get through that, you have to be really resilient, which I got from an inside sales job in the past, and be like, okay, next one, let's continue. And I got fortunate to be there, but as well raise my hand to take the role.
It's extremely brave. I mean, so there are a lot of people out there that don't necessarily take the plunge, and the fact that you put your hand up, behave like a man to a degree, and made yourself the solution, it is incredible. And I think it's something that you should be very proud of yourself. I mean, it's a great move. I mean, obviously going into that regional VP role and the biggest learn, you knew 50% of the job. You quickly knew how to get the other 50%, and by leaning on other people and asking questions and asking for advice. Was there any decisions you made during that time that backfired, or did it all go quite smoothly?
No. Thank you for the compliment, first of all, but many things happened and didn't turn out to be good decisions. But the thing that I always stand for as a leader is I will make a decision. And I think that's the worst thing for a leader or a manager, is to not make decisions, is to this directive. And that's the worst you can do for a team. And so at the time you're in the scale up, you have to go very, very fast. And so, of course, I made decisions that were not good, but I think that was Einstein that said part of the path of success is mistakes and failures. And I have to say, many failures, many mistakes, but it will not be balanced by so many successes and learnings. And a few that we did, we entered to countries without comprehensively understanding the culture differences. We moved too quickly that we spammed some clients and were completely blacklisted with our email addresses, so we have to create new ones. You learn, but if you don't do anything, nothing happens, and you just learn, you don't repeat the same mistakes. And we were doing those post-mortem meetings where I'd be like, so what went wrong? Okay, so we lost that deal because of that. We didn't make that an opportunity because of this, and I will share regionally with all the leaders, and the leaders will share back to their team leaders and to the teams. So everyone knew what kind of fucked up in other regions to not replicate the same mistakes. But I'm super proud of my mistakes and failures because I think that's how I got shaped. And I'm even prouder of my successes, but I don't shy away to discuss everything that we did bad because I'm happy we tried, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't do anything, you know what the results are going to be. So you have to make those mistakes. You have to actually be brave, take action. It will work, it won't work, but as long as you learn from it. And I have to admit, I think from my career, it's been the times where actually I've been really out of my comfort zone. And, I've had to be brave and I've had to, make decisions that I wasn't 100% certain on, and I've learned from them. And invariably, it works out for the best. So it definitely works there. So obviously, big data was huge. We talked about big data for a few years. 2018, 19, 20, 21, and now it's very much around AI, isn't it? And it's around sort of the infrastructure to enable AI. And obviously, you took the move to Scaleway, and I think what a brilliant business. But you know far more about why it's such a brilliant business than I do. So what made you take that sort of move and jump into the organization?
Yeah, and so the move, I had the chance to knew about the future investment of Scaleway in AI. So I got super interested to be like, okay, Scaleway is already a very powerful company. They do sovereign cloud. They want to become leader in Europe. I knew the roadmap. I knew how incredible was the product to be 100% open source, to have 0 layers of code that will be American, so to have a true sovereignty. I knew that the product would be on very much on green IT with sustainability, which was as well at the time really important. And I knew that Xavier, and so our first investor, Xavier Niel, will invest more into Scaleway and get into AI through Scaleway. And so I was like, this is amazing. And I know it's not that long ago, but 2 years ago, NVIDIA was not the first capitalistic company. And now it's the case, but they were saying, okay, so now we're going to invest in GPUs from NVIDIA, and Scaleway is going to be the biggest power for startups and enterprise to run their algorithm, to train and to fine tune them. And I was like, wow, okay, I want to be part of that journey. And so when I signed up to Scaleway, I knew the challenges ahead. And again, nothing was perfect. But for me, it was a big yes to be part of this new range of product and part of, kind of the revolution. For me, it was a revolution. The GPUs from NVIDIA, the power that it could like kind of trigger to companies, I found it amazing.
I mean, it really is, but it's also a really competitive market space, isn't it? Because we are seeing there's lots of smaller. You're probably a little bit further ahead in the journey than others, but you are seeing lots of smaller sort of European sovereign cloud businesses popping up, across Europe. What do you guys do to remain competitive and to remain certainly one of those sort of leaders in Europe? Obviously, you've also got the likes of companies like CoreWeave coming into Europe now as well. What is it you guys are doing to actually remain that and maintain that competitive edge?
It's difficult, so I would put that here. Really difficult market. If I take it from my time at Bloomberg, where I was in a monopolistic market, and here I am in the biggest competitive market I've been so far. So you have the 3 American hyperscaler plus the Chinese one. So already taking globally a lot of the market shares, if not all. And then you have, like you were saying, those smaller, let's say, challenger that are coming in place, like CoreWeave and other smaller European brands. And then you have Scaleway, that are leading the market in Europe in terms of GPUs and AI power, and for the public sovereign cloud, really wanted to be not only the leader, but actually put in writing what it means to be sovereign. Because right now you don't have a true definition. So you have to be innovative, and you have to be innovative not only from your products, which we are. We have an amazing team of R&D that created many products for the first time around and revolutionized the market. But you have to be 3 steps ahead from the other hyperscalers, because if you don't play with your cards, you will be eaten alive. So for us, it's proximity. So we are very close to our clients. All our C-levels, myself included, we meet with clients. We are part of all the deals and we talk to all the existing clients. That's why we are innovative, because the other hyperscalers, they don't have the luxury to have the proximity like we do. For us, of course, everything is about money right now. We are competitive in terms of pricing, but we want to put it as a package. You know, we don't want to say, hey, that's that much for that product, and you take it and you just put line by line. This is what do the hyperscalers. So for us, when the clients will commit to come at Scaleway, it's a full package. It's a team, a product team, engineering team, sales team, support team that will be there for them, plus the price. So the ROI, especially now that AI is everywhere, people look for human. And they look for the connection. You come to the office to visit our data centers. You won't believe how many clients are lining up to visit our data centers that are part of the Iliad group. It's a branch called Opcore. And so we want to make sure that we play those cards well. So innovation of products, proximity, and having this package view when we sell Scaleway to say, yes, open source, yes, sovereign, yes, sustainability, yes, security, but it is not an easy market at all.
So obviously, it is a competitive marketplace, with lots of challenges as we talked about, and some of the bigger hyperscalers. You have got some extremely innovative products, but now, as the CSO, you've got one of the biggest teams. How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them driven to ultimately achieve your objective, which is that bottom line number at the end of each year? What do you do to actually make sure that works?
Yes. So it's very difficult. The motivation needs to be, kind of a everyday ingredient. So it's a bit the same thing that I've done before. The proximity, always opening my agenda, and having as well the transparency when you hire. The transparency to say, hey, welcome to the jungle, welcome to a challenging market. And we as well hire people that are self-motivated, people that are very hungry for it. When we interview, we know some people that won't match not only the culture but the challenging market. Not everyone can sell Scaleway and scale with the competitive environment. So I have to say I'm blessed with a team that is used and know what's coming up. But we have our quarters and we have good months and months that are more difficult. So it's as well kind of being vulnerable to them and be like, I know it's tough. I know I'm asking a lot of you. I know there is this and this new competitor and whatever happening. But let's be together. Let's commit to each other and showing that you always believe in it, but you as well show, transparency and kind of being real of what's going on. Be like, okay, that number here is not the best. This is not ideal, but we are working on this. Look at the roadmap. Look at what we are putting together. Look at the other CXO being so involved. And something very particular that I'm proud of, for example, for our QBR, so the quarterly business review, all the CXO are here. Many people from the product team as well, the engineering team, which is not common. And they come to all the QBRs from all the AEs and they listen to their needs. They listen like what they want to do. They listen to the current deals, maybe they know someone, maybe they can help. And so the fact that they see it's not only me, but it's an entire company that's behind them, I think that's really particular to Scaleway. I haven't seen it everywhere else. So I'd say, of course, it's thanks to the team, the leadership team, but not only, it's everyone together. So I won't say it's me only motivating the team, it's a full leadership team behind me.
That definitely is unusual. I've not heard that before, but I can see why that breeds success. Inspires innovation, inspires people to actually strive forward to obviously meet the common goal, and create a real team. And I think we work on culture as organisations have all got their own way of creating a culture to breed success. Um, some work better than others, obviously, but that's definitely a new one for me, for sure. You made a comment at the beginning, obviously, when you made the decision to get into sales. Women were quite underrepresented in sales. Those years ago, not that long ago. We're still very young, but with where we are today, do you feel that we've really sort of improved and strived? Because I'll be honest with you, as a recruiter that supplies into a lot of people, a lot of organisations within the cloud market, within the SaaS market, certainly within the AI market these days, we do have a lot of businesses asking for us to help with their D&I, certainly trying to find really good sort of female talent. How have you guys gone about doing that, or is that something that you're still striving towards?
Yeah, it's a topic, and I think DNI should be encouraged, but never the rule. So even when I hire myself, I will just have a pool of candidates that will be balanced. So what I like to do when I hire for AEs or CSM, whatever the role is, I ask for the pool of candidates to be balanced, and then the best to win. If it's a man, if it's a woman, it's the best to win at the end. But it's still a big discussion because the more technical I go in my career in terms of industry, so from Box.com, which was a bit technical, and then Dataiku, which was really technical, and now Scaleway, which is infrastructure, you get in, another layer of technicity. Of course, I see less and less women, but we want to enable and welcome them. And so the thing that I always repeat is don't be scared to apply, because you never know, and you don't fit 100% a job position. No one does, surprise. But to make sure that you apply for it and you make the move for your career. And internally at Scaleway, we created a community to help women, to be together and to talk not about women stuff at all, but to be business oriented, to be like what it means to have a business mindset and to enable them to drive those kind of discussion and to kind of hold their career into their hands. And so we created a mentoring program and many other things that will drive them to be more responsible and take the accountability for their career and their work-life balance, which is, I think, really important, whether you want to be a mom or you have this passion that takes you 20 hours a day, that would be a lot, but 20 hours a week into your agenda. That's really important, So we want to make sure that we drive this and we drive that message.
I mean, again, it's something else that we don't see enough of. I think the fact that you're doing more. But you're right, it is about having the right person in the right role. But taking a balanced approach and trying to get balanced shortlists and actually trying to be inclusive. And nobody's perfect for a job. So apply. It's about the energy, the attitude, the behaviours, and the willingness to learn, isn't it, really? And if they can demonstrate that, but the fact that you are inclusive, the fact that you are building an environment for people to be successful is obviously, it's a great thing. So obviously with Scaleway, you stressed about being highly innovative. You've talked a little bit about, obviously about the European sovereignty side of things. We touched on the fact that you're open source. I mean, what was the reason for going down the open source route? I mean, you've got organisations that are very pro open source, others that go the other way. What's the reason for you guys going down that route?
So that was really from the beginning. It's in the DNA of Scaleway, the first engineers into the company and the first CTO. That was the guideline. And as well, it was to build every new product and feature to be open source, to be agnostic, to welcome any kind of companies to come into our product line and solutions and to enjoy it and scale. And the key of scaling is open source. You cannot scale everywhere if you're not open source everywhere. And that was our choice, maybe not the easiest choice, to not put any layer of VMware internally, which is now a good idea. But it's harder because we have over 80 line of products. And so just imagine the book of codes for our engineers. So that's why at Scaleway, half of the employees almost are engineers, developers, and we are really proud of it. And that's really atypical in the business as well. We rely of internal knowledge to build our products. No one else can. So we have to keep a very tight library of all the knowledge and everything that's being done. And of course, thanks to the leadership as well, we are able to continue into that role and to keep that decision to stay forever at Scaleway. And that's why as well we win deals, because clients really enjoy that.
Absolutely. I think it really does encourage freedom, doesn't it, ultimately? And I think we talked about that before. By creating an open source infrastructure, it encourages freedom, but that freedom then obviously encourages loyalty to you guys. That they don't want to go anywhere else, so they can obviously use what you're doing. That's great too. I mean, and then the other thing, the big thing on everyone's agenda, particularly within this market space at the moment, is around sustainability. We know data centers, consume a lot of energy. What are you guys doing to reach your sort of sustainability goals? Because obviously your customers do care about that. So what is it you guys are actually doing to make sure you sort of hit those boxes?
Yeah, and customers really care about it. I can confirm it is now part of the RFQ. It's a line, and we were ready for it for years back because our data centers do not consume a lot of energy, whether it's electricity or it is water. So we have technology inside our data centers that will ensure that we lower this bill. And so for our clients, when they see that, their impact when they consume public cloud or AI products or dedicated servers, they know that's going to enter into their values, whether it's a new value or it's a value they carry from years ago. And on top of that, we just issued a calculator. So that's pretty new. Now you can calculate really what you consume and what is really at the end of the year your carbon consumption, which is super important nowadays. And it's even becoming in France and in Europe a law that in enterprise above 500 employees, they will have at the end of the year to put on paper what were their consumption. And thanks to our new product, to have this calculator, any enterprise will be able to know, which is new. And I think that's really important to know what are you doing, with all the data. Oh, okay, maybe I should stop duplicate. Maybe I should be more aware of ways, to consume products in the cloud, and that helps.
That's the first I've heard of that. Obviously, I speak to a lot of people in different businesses similar to yourselves, and they're doing lots of innovative ways to reach those sustainability goals. But I haven't seen the transparency as yet, where actually a customer can actually see and do a calculation and work out what they're doing. Is that just because people aren't talking about it, or is this quite unique to you guys?
So the carbon print, it's going to become the new thing. You're going to hear more about in the next couple of months. We were innovative to launch it first. and we are super proud of it. And now it's going to become a law anyway, so people will have to move ahead. And I was just reading this morning on Green IT for Vivatech next year, and 30% of the companies will be around Green IT in terms of green tech. And I think that says it all, that the new generation of tech, we had big data, we had AI, and now it's going to be green tech. And I think that's really interesting to see the wave going in the right direction for the planet too.
I mean, that's really fascinating. And again, it's something that we're going to be talking about now, next year, the year after. So the fact that you're on top of it and you're spearheading it is incredible. Before we finish up, one last thing I just want to sort of cover off with you is obviously you guys have got some fantastic customers on your books. You've got some very good partners on your books as well. You've also been doing quite a lot around the startup incubation side of things, haven't you? And you've done a bit of work on that this year. What have you able to just fill us in? Give us a little bit more idea of what you've been doing within the startup programs and how that's gone.
Yes. So we are involved in multiple external programs, and as well we have our own programs. So externally, we have a collaboration with Meta, Hugging Face, HEC, where we share a startup program to help European AI companies within a program where each one of us will give them resources. So for us, it's obvious. It's our AI GPU power. You're going to have Meta giving them the knowledge and the internal human resources to build their algorithm, and of course Hugging Face that comes with the name, and HEC will be their incubator. And we have another program that we share with NVIDIA because we are a favorite partner of NVIDIA. So we have our startup program together. It's called Inception. That we share, and we help startups again, not only with credits but with a true proximity, and they have people to ask questions and to see the future after the credits. And that's the same thing we do with our internal program. The worst thing for a startup would be the cost at the end of the program. So you don't want startups to go from one program to another program and do like 5 logos within like 5 years. You want to commit them into having the right behavior of consumption. And so with our program, we have our startup program and we have our alumni program. So when they leave the startup program, they get to another program where they have more education on how to consume, how to understand their bill at the end of the month and the end of the year when it comes to public cloud or the GPUs. So we want to ensure that we help them to be mature, because at some point they're going to be a scale-up. And when they become a scale-up, you want to make sure that they manage everything around not only their FinOps, but as well around the way that they consume, not only for the planet we were saying, but to make sure that they are sustainable throughout the years.
That's really good. I think, obviously I deal with a lot of startups, from one person bands to, 10, 20, 30 people. And often they are, the CEO is an engineer. So having that sort of mentorship, that you can talk about the consumption, just that sort of business advisory piece, isn't it, really, to help them on that journey? Because they're not only doing something new as a startup, but they're doing something new for themselves, and going on a journey that they've never done before. So the fact that you're giving them that too, as well as technical expertise, definitely hoping to see then those startups being a little bit more successful than if they were on their own, for sure. Before we finish up then, just one last question. Obviously, it's exciting business, lots going on. The market in AI is crazy. I think, no one can tell what it's going to look like in 5 years. I don't think it's moving too fast. But what's the sort of next 12 months look like for you guys?
So very exciting. If I cannot say everything, but I can say for it looks international. So going above and beyond European frontiers. And it looks like acquiring more clients that would like to do the change for sustainability reasons or sovereignty reasons. And we know when we get into that market, you are a challenger, but your roadmap and the product roadmap is not as a challenge because of the innovation that we carry. So internationalization, lots of new features and products to come that will be innovative, like I just mentioned. And we are growing and scaling internally, so more people to recruit. So if I can do my little advertisement here, if you want to work for Scaleway, you just have to do me.
You can. So reach out to you. Anybody else they should reach out to?
They can
Look at the website, perhaps.
No, I read all my messages, so they can reach out to me.
There you go. You watch this now. You get your inbox is going to be full. So, well, look, that's been fantastic. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. It's been a great session. Great to learn more about you and your journey, and certainly great to learn about the business and what you guys are doing as well. We'll have to do another episode in a year's time and see what's happened.
Will do. Thanks for having me, Nick, and have a lovely day.
You too. All the best now. Take care. Thank you.
What a great conversation with Doreen, where she shared her journey of transitioning from inside sales to leading the entire sales org. It's been really insightful hearing about how she keeps the team motivated during really difficult market conditions. It's been a fantastic first season for the Humans and AI podcast, and that's it now. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know everybody's stories. We've already started recording for season 2, which will be airing in the new year. So until then, have a great Christmas and look out for updates on the next season. Speak soon.